small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, no, nothing can break me.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of Griot's Garage YouTube Live. I'm Nick.
I'm Sam.
And we've got Stevie in the corner playing Voice of God. She missed her cue. Oh my goodness, what a great
Hey,
start
everyone.
to the show.
Sleeping over there.
How's everybody doing? I loved seeing the regulars, Griot Twins, Keith Firebird, man, Benoit Car Guy, Camaro Time. How you all doing?
Gang's all here.
How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. We're having a great time here at Griot's Garage. Still COVID-free, thank goodness. Still operating as normal if you're in the Tacoma area. We do have adjusted store hours. We're still not open on Sunday, but we are doing some car drive-throughs. So if you follow the store on Facebook, they've got a lot of things going on. They're trying their best to kind of keep the summer going, even though we haven't had a single car show here. So
It's pretty sad. Pretty sad.
it's pretty sad. I mean, we had a pretty good summer and not a single car show. I did want to shout out to our buddies Avance. They just launched their brand new beautiful magazine, so I thought it would be great to wear their shirt in honor of them. And we got some cool stuff to talk about. We've got a good topic today.
Yeah, awesome topic that we get tons of questions on. A little bit about pad flexing and pad combinations with liquid combinations and what to use for what situation and what not to use.
Yeah, and we got a lot of good questions. The other cool thing, so it is September, which is the official official start of our fall season. We just launched our fall catalog, so if you don't get our catalogs, you gotta, oh my gosh, you gotta sign up for that on griotsgarage.com for a catalog request, and you will get all of our latest and greatest catalogs. We've redesigned the catalog as of this summer. It's a very fascinating and educational read. We're very proud of it. But yeah, we generally launch new products with each new season. So we got some new products to talk about. We got a great process to talk about. If you're watching this, hopefully you saw our promo yesterday.
Absolutely.
We took some time. We don't have a lot of downtime around here, but to have some fun. Right, we did pad flexing, and our brilliant creative minds thought, oh, the best like flexing movie I can think of outside of maybe that Arnold movie is Over the Top by Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
Great 80s movie. You saw the initial truck washing montage, and so we did our best to replicate that famous movie poster. I think we did a pretty good job, right? What do you guys think?
Fro instead of bald guy.
Yeah, I know.
My biceps could be a little bigger to match.
Well, we decided we have a lot of wigs,
dude.
you know, because we try to have some fun, and we had a slew of fun videos planned for this year. It kind of got derailed. Not really the best time to spread a ton of humor, but man, we did have some fun, and we think we did a good job. So.
Pretty funny shot to get.
I will segue to, if Matt wants to put that thing back up, but we are going to send our two best questions a foam-backed signed copy of this. If you look closely, Stevie is featured in the bottom corner here. She represents the lost child or whoever it was in the movie. And
So
Sam
rude.
and I will definitely give you a sign or signature as well. So
Personally signed.
well, man, there's already lots of chatter about the thing that I put on the table here, the GR3, our
buddy.
rotary polisher. So let's clear up one other thing about our long throws. So you guys might be surprised to see us release this tool, even though we haven't gotten to ship out a lot of our long throw or our G15 and G21 redesigns. And obviously, if you've watched us before, we have kind of explained that we had some production challenges. We approved a spec, we received it, it didn't meet our standards, and we had to essentially recall it and go back to the drawing board. The great news is, Sammy can show it off, we are going to be able to ship G15s early next week. We have inventory of them. They have the redesigned and extremely effective backing plates. So those tools are ready to go. So if you've pre-ordered one of those, you're going to be getting one of those as soon as we can process them through our inventory and ship them out to you. So that is on the way, and we're happy that the G21 should be right behind it. I think a week or two behind it. So we're getting through that backlog. We really appreciate your guys' patience, and we're really excited. I know you put some time on that thing, right?
Yeah, I've spent a couple weekends with it since we've had the pre-production model in, and it is a workhorse, to say the least, for sure. I mean, the 1100 watts is pretty impressive at speed 5 and 6, which you really should rarely need to hit speed 6 on this thing, because that is like, you know, 6th gear pinned, 10,000 RPM. But no, it's crazy powerful. Speed, really speeds 4 through 6. It's very difficult to bog down. I've always liked the 15 millimeter platform, as it's a little easier when you're getting into curves and contours. I was doing a couple very curvy vehicles, but yeah, just absolute workhorse, very smooth, a little bit quieter than our previous long throws as well, which is nice. And the comfort is my favorite part. I mean, really, I've since using the Boss tools, and now with a lot of that ergonomics carrying over to this, it's really just feels foreign not holding a tool by that front grip that we have here. And even with the Boss tools, you didn't have room for 3 to 4 fingers. It was really only 2, so you'd kind of have to do the whole crab claw thing like you see a lot of guys doing, and so comfortable having that front hand there.
Yeah, and we haven't really, again, we refrained from marketing them heavily since we ran into the early supply chain issues with that tool. And then again, once we got the supply chain sorted, we had the production issue. This happens when you're doing something as sophisticated as bringing a new tool out on the market. We admitted that this is not how we wanted to go, but we're going to make it right. And again, at the end of the day, you'll have a very high quality machine we're very confident in. So again, like I said, those are going to be shipping out early next week. If you had a pre-ordered 15, your wait is finally going to be over. And then the next one that we had plans to launch well ahead of time. I mean, these things don't happen in a nutshell, right? We are thinking very deliberately years ahead. When we made our shift to our manufacturer, we knew it was a massive undertaking. 2 days ago, or I'm sorry, yesterday, September 9th, marked the 1-year anniversary of our launch of the G9. That tool has been incredibly successful with us. And just a year ago, man, I mean, that's our crazy shift.
Yeah.
And in that time, we intended to launch 4 tools. Obviously, 2 of those 4 have caused a little bit of a hiccup, but we're making that right. Those will be out in a second. And then our 5th tool, the GR3, which is an electric rotary polisher. So we're going to unbox this, show you all about it. But yeah, essentially this capitalizes on a lot of the investments we made in developing the G8. However, we've adapted it to function as a rotary as opposed to the dual action orbitals that we've sold so traditionally for so many years. We have sold pneumatic versions of rotary tools in the past, and pneumatic obviously creates its challenges in that you need some air infrastructure. So having an electronic rotary tool in this small platform really is a nice feature and a nice benefit. A lot of guys will have their big grinder that they'll put a 3-inch plate on, and I mean, that's a pretty heavy machine for that intricate of a task.
Yeah, the amount of work that this thing opens up for you is pretty exceptional when you get that 1-inch plate and 1-inch pad set out. There's no paint that can't be touched.
Yeah, well, that's the problem too. You look at like a Ferrari 512 BBI and it's got 100 louvers over the engine deck, and you're like, oh, I can polish all that.
Yeah.
Ugh, somebody's gonna ask me to polish all that. Oh my gosh, what did I do?
New frontiers that you couldn't get to before, and the rotary, of course, too. You don't have that orbit that's expanding your pad footprint. So when you consider that, you're able to run right up next to edges and really get those small compact spots that you can't always get with an orbital.
Yeah, we're going to get to it too, but one of the cool things is we're offering all of our foams in sizes, a new size, 1-inch, and 2-inch and 3-inch. So you're going to have all of our actual Boss foams, microfiber fast cutting, and also a new material in wool. So we've really kind of paired some of our development behind this rotary tool in the 1 and 2-inch backing plates that are included in it. So going to unbox it for you. Get the GR3, so we're still following the kind of nomenclature we've established. However, the R indicates rotary. You can guess at what that may mean in the future, but I'm not going to tell you anything, though I just kind of did. So very similar to the G8 in shape and feel, all the ergonomic touch points. However, you have a shaft that extends as opposed to a plate that you screw your backing plate onto, and a counterbalance that orbits and creates the dual action random orbital. You've got a locking mechanism here which seizes that shaft and allows you to interchange both backing plates and shaft extensions. So the tool itself, in this bag, I'll open this up, but you're going to have a 3-inch, a 2-inch, and a 1-inch backing plates. So the machine comes with all of those, and then also extension shafts. So you've got a 50 millimeter and a 70 millimeter extension shaft included in that. So pretty much everything you need to really create a very targeted defect remover and a really nice set of backing plates. So again, you can imagine that with a 1-inch plate, you can really find your way into some tight spaces. I don't know where is best to see, Matt. There you go. So that's our 70 millimeter shaft.
Yeah, those shafts are awesome because obviously you have the shroud of the tool right above the plate is about 3 inches in diameter. So when you're running those small plates on there, if you don't have the shaft, you're still going to be limited when you have an adjacent surface that may be, on the edge of that area that's smaller than 3 inches. So that shaft allows you to get in there without the shroud of the tool being an issue. And then you can run like the 3-inch plate. The last job I did, I was able to run the 3-inch plate on there and get underneath door handles, which was much easier than attempting that with a rotary. I mean, again, with an orbital.
So you've got a lot of variability right out of the gate. You don't have to buy the extension separately. You don't have to buy the plates separately. It all comes in that $199 price point, which we believe is incredibly competitive. One of the other cool features, most rotaries are just not a progressive start, so you've got to really kind of move fast to spread product around. This does have a progressive feather trigger, much like the G8. It's a really nice feature that is unique to this tool. 700 watt motor, same features as the G8 there. We also include replacement brushes for this tool and a handy dandy insert, much like we always do, guiding you through the correct processes and tools and accessories. So we're really excited about this tool. It did debut in the fall book. We aren't going to have inventory most likely until the end of the month, but we did not run into any developmental challenges, much like we did with the backing plate. So that's simply a matter of when it gets here. So if you're looking at this, this is an excellent new addition to our lineup. For experienced users, a rotary is a really good way to, again, add capability to your detailing packages, processes, results. Just one more tool for the toolbox.
Yeah, and it's not only the smaller platform. Of course, those of you familiar with rotaries know that they open up a whole other capability of defects that you can remove in sand scratches and more severe defects that you can oftentimes more safely get out by using a sanding and rotary process than heating the paint up like crazy with an orbital.
Yeah.
Going after a scratch that may be a little too deep for an orbital to get.
So we're going to get to, we had a lot of questions coming in. We really appreciate it, guys. So we've got, we revamped one other really big thing. Fall will officially mark the launch of our entirely new revamped Boss foam system. So we have upgraded every single one of our foams from our large format, standard 1-inch thick pads in red waxing, finishing, orange foam correcting, and microfiber fast finishing pad, up to, again, the introduction of the new wool system, which does have a foam interface, the foam-less microfiber interface. Unfortunately, these pads won't be in stock until sometime in October. And then finishing, perfecting, correcting, fast correcting. Every single foam has been upgraded, and outside of the microfiber, all of them are currently available for you to order. So that's a big deal as well.
Yeah, and some pretty sweet improvements. I think one of my favorites is the perfecting foam, the yellow foam pad. These got slightly stiffer, and they have better rebound than the past yellow foam did. So it's really nice because we noticed with the past yellow foam, there were situations where you'd put haze in a panel with a microfiber pad, and that less aggressive yellow foam that we were using wouldn't always cut that haze out as quickly as you wanted it to. These still finish down as equally as well as that previously used foam, but you get a much faster and more effective haze removal and more rebound, so they don't pancake out on you quite as badly after several passes with some pressure.
We're going to talk a lot about pads, but those are our new items. Sam's wearing a new shirt that we debuted as well, and we've also got a new beanie, a new puffy vest, and a quarter zip pullover, all very nice apparel offerings as well.
Yeah, really sweet apparel. Stay warm when you're doing your fall and winter washing.
I did see Joe Edgar. It's your anniversary and your wife is letting you watch us. That is some dedication. Happy anniversary.
Support right there.
Yeah, really, congratulations.
Hold on to her.
Yeah. I don't believe my wife would allow me to be doing this on our anniversary, but we did actually celebrate our 3rd anniversary about 3 weeks ago. We were on vacation. Very nice time. Unfortunately, there's a 3rd person at the party now. A little guy, so wasn't quite mom and dad time, but we got out for a nice lunch together.
Hopefully you still got some.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, Joe. That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's take some of the questions we got pre-submitted. I'm sure they will begin to answer some of the questions we're getting in.
Before we get into it, we've had a few guys ask about the sign behind Nick. A little birdie told me we may be having some signs come out for sale within the next few months.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for those. We've got some stuff we're working on.
We got a lot of fun ahead of us.
Plenty of requests for products like that.
Look, we launched this thing in fall, and it was ready. We have some other stuff that's ready that we're going to launch around SEMA that you guys will be pretty excited about. So to presume that we're not continuing to work would be false. But yeah, we're really excited about this tool. Once again, it wasn't meant to be that our long throws would come out and then we wouldn't be able to ship them and then we'd launch this new tool. We were hoping for a little bit more space in there, but I mean, hey, 2020, right?
A few things that have happened between then and now.
Yeah, so we had this in developed long ago, but we brought it to market the fall. That was always the plan. So. Okay, well, let's dive into pads and polishes and flexing, because everybody wants to flex.
Stop the delay. Always flexing.
All right. So basically, the general concept between pad flexing is something we thought of long and hard, and actually, I think we'll give Jeff Brown a lot of credit for this, right? We wanted to develop a system of pads and abrasives that were very easy to understand, and we did that with color coding. And densities that would chase specific defects versus other ones. However, part of it too was that a lot of detailers like to find their own process, and we need to make sure that our products work with a variety of density foams and can be used within the system to achieve different results, because many paint systems are different and many processes are different if you're a professional detailer paying or charging for specific results, right? So you need to have different ways to approach every job.
Yeah, that was one of the first lessons I was taught in detailing, was that no paint is the same. No paint's going to respond the same as the last car that you did. Even if you're doing, 2 cars that may be the same year, make, and model, they could have been painted different colors, different environments, and the paints may respond differently, or one might have spot repair that you're going to run into where you might have to come up with a different approach. So like Nick said, you wouldn't have one adjustable wrench in your toolbox to rebuild a whole motor. Same kind of thing with detailing. You wouldn't do a car or multiple cars with just one pad and one product combination. There are situations where that might be acceptable, but it's always beneficial to have lots of options.
And on top of that, we can knock out Z71 Black Mamba's quick question. What's the need for several polishers? Just asking. Well, experience level definitely dictates, what point of entry you want. Also, if you've got a car that's just a completely flat box like a Ford Flex, you may be able to get away with just a 5 or 6 inch tool.
Yeah.
If you've got something with intricate panels, A pillars, B pillars that are small, you're going to want a smaller format tool to complement what will be used, a large format tool, on your broader, flatter, larger panels. So having that interchangeability is really important.
Yeah, it allows you to complete the detail, essentially. I mean, I don't know if there's any cars out there that you could do the entire car, like every painted surface with a 5 or 6 inch tool. I mean,
I think you could do it in a
like
pretty ham-handed manner,
a
right?
work van or something like that, maybe. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to run half that up an A-pillar, getting all over the trim and
Just doing a
making
lot of
mess.
heeling, towing, and really making inefficient work of a process. So the other thing too, if you have a single tool that you take to a job and you expect to do everything with it, once again, I don't believe you could do a complete detail with one large format tool, whether that be a short stroke 9mm or 8mm platform, or a small format tool, or even a long throw tool. Like you kind of need to have two. Now say you're at a job and your long throw tool or your big tool breaks. I don't really want to finish that entire job with a small one, but I know I could. That's at least part of the argument. But in reality, if you're working at home, these tools aren't going to fail you in a critical moment where you're desperately in need of them. You just have something you can do for small, tight spaces like bumpers, A-pillars, B-pillars, even door jams with a small tool. And then big flat panels, you can work with some speed on a long throw and get that covered really quick, or just cover more surface area with that larger vacuum plate and
mow
pad.
through it a little faster. Just like doing small areas with a large tool isn't fun. Doing large areas with a tiny tool is equally not as fun.
Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question, Black Mamba. I know actually there's a pretty cool, innovative tool that's coming out that has 5 functions in one. It's still only one size, only one large format. So you're still going to need most likely a complementary small platform tool to accompany that.
And no fake tans here, Alfredo.
No, it's been
Nick
nice.
just got back from Chelan. So
yeah, that was where I went on my vacation, Lake Chelan. It was hot and sunny, and I dared the sun god to burn me, and he did not.
And our video team's good at making us look better on camera than we do in person.
Yeah, I don't know what the color temperature is over here, but no fake tan. Could the GR3 make Nick's teeth whiter? Man, are you looking at me that close, dude? I guess so, maybe.
Turn the zoom down, guys. Come on.
I'm not putting that in my mouth. I don't care how much you pay me.
Yeah, we might need smaller than a 1-inch plate for that.
Yeah. Okay, so again, we kind of talked about the concept. Now, in practice, what does that mean?
Yeah, so pad flexing. Like Nick said, all of our products kind of have a guideline. So Perfecting Cream here is recommended to use with the yellow perfecting pad. Now that's not a rule, that's a kind of a starting point. Or if you're inexperienced, you haven't tried swapping different pads with different liquids before, that's a great place to start for a finishing type process. Now there's a lot of situations where that specific combo isn't gonna get you the results that you want. Say you're working on a really soft paint and you've put in a heavy haze with a microfiber pad, and you go to use your Perfecting Cream and your yellow pad and it doesn't get that haze out. One way to adjust that combination is to either increase the effectiveness or detune your liquid based upon whatever result you're after by increasing the aggressiveness of the pad or decreasing the aggressiveness of the pad that you're using it with. So normally you would use this with the yellow pad, which is right between our black foam and our orange foam. Say you got some haze that you couldn't get out, swap up to your orange foam, and that'll be more likely to remove that haze without imparting any more because you're not putting a more aggressive liquid on the panel.
And to be fair, just so anybody out there that doesn't understand aggressive or less aggressive, what you're speaking of primarily in foam is density.
Yes.
So by density, again, it's you squeeze the pad, it will have either more or less give, and essentially that's what you're imparting onto the paint via the foam, right? You can press as hard as you want on a soft foam and you're affecting that system a lot. We're not suggesting you do that ever really, but there is kind of a happy medium of tuning the density of the foam and the aggression of the abrasive.
Absolutely, and it really, I mean, it goes both ways. You can detune an aggressive product like our fast correcting cream, and you can increase the capability of a non-aggressive product like finishing sealant. I would say finishing sealant is probably one of my favorites to pad flex with. This is one that Jeff Brown has coined, using this with a microfiber pad. Sounds kind of crazy. Normally you wouldn't use a finishing product with a microfiber pad, but say you're doing one of those wham bam thank you ma'am jobs, you know, your mother-in-law only wants to pay you $100 to detail her car or something like that, and you don't want to spend 8 hours polishing it, this is a great combo. Finishing sealant, microfiber, you're going to increase the capability of this. So if it's the only step you're doing, it's going to be a lot more capable than this with the black foam, which is the color-coded recommendation here. You may get a tiny bit of haze depending on the paint finish and how soft it is, but this is a knockout combo for a quick one-step and all-in-one where you need a little bit more cut out of the finishing sealant so you have some moderate defects. Great combination to go with for those quick
likewise, if you've got our G9 and you like the thicker pads that give you a little bit more wiggle room for just conformability as you learn how to become a better detailer, this will definitely amplify our one-step sealant, our liquid wax 3-in-1, any of those other all-in-one products that aren't designed to work with the long throw. You will get more aggressive results with that microfiber facing. So foam density being one thing, and then facing, right? That's the second one. So microfiber and wool are going to increase the aggression of your pad foam interface, right? So they're going to be relatively more aggressive than an open face foam.
Yeah, 100%. Really, regardless of which microfiber, whether it be the Boss microfiber or the fast cutting Boss microfiber foam versus no foam, both of these are going to be more aggressive than any of the strictly foam pads. And then the wool is now our most aggressive option, so even more so than the microfiber fast cutting.
Yeah, and so we have a couple questions about the GR3 that are still coming in. We are going to do a live specifically about the GR3 later, once again we have inventory and we know we can give some away to you all for watching and tuning in. So, but Kyle Cooper, can the GR3 polish interior gloss plastics? Yes, of course, with any rotary, we encourage you to have some experience, approach with caution, start with a gentle process, but without a doubt you can do that. Again, you can polish a lot. We actually did a lot of testing on my sister's Airstream trailer. This 60-year-old oxidized aluminum shell, holy baloney, the rotary capability and the wool transformed the process that we were struggling with the dual action and comparable materials, right? I mean, it was a big jump. So we will talk about this in more depth in the future. I did see somebody ask about the Chip Foose Aztec. I have not seen that. My dad actually sent that to me right after we actually were hanging out with Chris Jacobs doing some filming about a month and a half ago. And Chris was telling us that Chip had redesigned it. He did that, or he had kind of sketched how he had redesigned that and the XJ Cherokee.
No way.
Yeah, he'd done some pretty cool cars. And obviously, Chip Foose is pretty dang talented. So
yes,
I trust his design eye.
I charge my mother-in-law. If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah. Come on, mother-in-law, you gotta charge him.
My mom, probably not. My wife's mom, sure.
Kyle, the version that you're seeing at AutoZone is our G9 random orbital polisher. That is what, if you've never picked up a polisher before, that's what we recommend you start with. Again, you can really grow and adapt through that tool. You can use more aggressive pads and smaller backing plates and really learn how to refine your craft there. Then if you do actually have a professional job, it can always find a place in that regimen as well.
Yeah, so Jeff Brown, one of our other developers, is chiming in with some good topics here. So he mentioned the 1.5 step, which is the combo that I just talked about of finishing sealant and your microfiber. And then say you're working on a plain black finish, no metallic, and it's softer, say an older Porsche or something like that. This is definitely going to leave haze from the microfiber in that softer plain black finish. So then you can come in half step. You don't need to wipe this off. Just leave it on the paint and then come in with your perfecting and your yellow foam or your black foam, depending on the finish and the results you need. Hit it real quick with a couple passes there, knock out any haze, and move on to your next step. So lots of good options.
Freedom Chariot, not for a beginner. What are you asking about? The G9 is 100% for a beginner. So why don't you clarify what exactly you were asking about? But are we getting paid generally, yes, we are getting paid. We are still on the clock. I don't know that the clock ever turns off for me, but I love what I do. So this is hardly a job. There are days when it's a job, but you know that it barely is. Yes, and I saw you. Sam definitely may have had a Freudian slip there.
These guys are tearing me up.
Yeah.
Charging my mother-in-law.
Liam Flynn, when is the GR7 release date? I think you're ahead of yourself. I don't know what you're talking about.
GR7, what's that?
Yeah, I think he's presuming a 7-inch rotary platform. But hey, you guys buy enough of these, we might have to accelerate that launch. So that one is currently not in the plans, but we'll see. Again, we are pretty excited to launch this rotary. It's a new thing for us. Again, that electronic platform is different from the past where we've sold it as a pneumatic platform. Yeah. Okay. We had a couple questions too. Should you use a new pad for each vehicle?
I would say no, you don't have to use a new pad for every vehicle, but it should be a clean pad for every vehicle. You don't want to use your pads, put them in a drawer without cleaning them, and then pull them out and expect them to provide the same results that you got the first time. So you always want to use clean pads. The one situation where I will buy new pads for a detail is if it's something extremely high end.
Yeah.
There is a slight risk using a used pad, being that it could have picked up contaminant at some point when you were washing it or drying it. It could have dust or polish residue in it.
If the last car you polished was single stage and you didn't get all the paint out of it. I mean, sometimes the single stage paint, you're pretty much saying, can I save this? And that's going to be a more expensive job, or the job you're going to charge more for anyway.
Yep.
So you might discard those pads. But we will get to cleaning pads as well. We had a lot of questions about how to properly clean the pad. So yeah, we will address that. But I think in general too, you should probably use multiple pads per car. So if you're thinking through a singular pad, that's probably the wrong thought. Generally, we recommend 2 to 4 pads per process per car. And obviously that varies on the size of the car, the amount of product you're using, and the amount of processes you do. If you're doing an all-in-one, and that's the only step you're doing, you probably need 2 to 4 pads for that process. If you're doing a massive correction with a microfiber and fast correcting cream step, and then following with a secondary step of a perfecting cream and perfecting foam, you're going to need 4 to 8 pads. You're going to need the corresponding foams for each process you choose.
Yeah, and I can almost guarantee that buying more pads up front and using multiple pads per car is going to save you money over time, because those pads are going to last much longer than if you're beating the heck out of one pad trying to get around a full car with it.
Yeah.
You're probably going to torch that thing pretty quick.
So again, I think he was addressing the GR3 not being for beginners. This is not the tool to start with if you've never used a machine before, for sure. There is definitely a learning curve to a rotary. I know you and I both think that we can be better. We could learn a lot more about using a rotary.
100%.
And unfortunately, rotaries do generate more temperature with different materials because they don't have that oscillation. They have a single point of contact. You can generate a lot more temperature. That being said, you can very safely use this product with ample experience, but it definitely would not be the first tool I'd recommend you to buy. If you're new to machine polishing, start with a G9 or G8, depending on the size of your vehicle. The only reason I throw the G8 in there is if you're only a motorcycle guy, you don't need the G9. You just need a G8.
Yeah, and even if you have a ton of orbital experience, I think we still encourage, we're not going to tell you to not use the rotary, but get some practice under your belt before you start doing, nice vehicles or your own vehicles. Go to the junkyard, buy a test hood or a test panel, and learn some of those limits before you really get after it.
Yeah, rotaries really make a lot of sense with tough defects where you're coming back from some sanding. A lot of people that refinish cars, in fact, a lot of our partners and friends that build high-end custom cars, they're doing 4 sanding steps, and they might leave enough grit down that if they're trying to chase that with an orbital, they pretty much should have done 1 more sanding step. So
yeah, for sure.
It's not really beneficial to them. However, if they use a rotary, they can get that heat to cut it down, leave swirl marks and or curable defects, then they introduce the dual action.
Sanding is also just becoming more prevalent in detailing. You have a lot more guys that are doing wet sanding to go after those deeper defects so that they're not heating the paint up too much with an orbital or a rotary tool, or they don't have to. And you almost always are going to not necessarily need to finish sanding scratches with a rotary, but it will speed up that process for you, depending on what sandpaper you're finishing with, what grit you're going with.
All right.
Would really like to see.
Are we giving away a poster yet? Like, have we had that good of a question? I don't know, guys. You got to bring the thunder if you want a poster.
Let's get some good questions.
Apparently, somebody told me that Sly's truck was called the Wizard. I haven't seen the movie. I got to watch the movie now.
Oh, man.
When John and Matt told us about it, I was like, oh. I mean, it's rare for me not to have seen a bad 80s action movie.
I was going to say, that's surprising. I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll have to find
There you
it.
go, guys. It's on Prime if you're interested in checking it out.
Okay, so we had one question about if you're on a budget of $250, what would you suggest? This comes from Mike Sadler via the chat. Well, our G9 and G8 orbitals are around $160. I think the G9 is $159.99, and if you're buying directly from Griot's Garage, we kit that up with pads and polishes and maybe a wax. I think our G9 two-step ceramic kit is a really good price point. That'll get you the big format tool that'll allow you to enter the world of machine polishing. It may not give you the intricate tool, but if you like machine polishing, you like what you're seeing, you'll probably come back for the G8 at some point in
100%.
time. But $250 gets you everything you need to get going, get a great finish, and leave behind ceramic protection.
Yeah, our kits are really the best way to go if you're trying to get into it and you don't want to spend a ton of money. They all have a lot of savings built in. So whether, we don't usually put our kits on sale because of that, but it's a great way to get some discounts if you're needing more than just the orbital.
Yeah. And if you are looking right now and you're going to go to AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts sometime in the next week or so, Pep Boys, and even some O'Reilly stores, you'll be able to buy our G9 in a $169 kit that comes with our liquid wax 3-in-1 and orange pad and the tool. Again, you start off there. You just open your world up and say, hey, I like this. I'm getting great results. This is fun. I want to do more of this. And our belief is that's probably going to happen. That's generally what happens, right? Everybody gets excited. They start learning. They realize, man, it's hard to do damage with this tool. In fact, all I've done is improve my paint a ton.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's gratifying results, nonetheless.
Okay, we have one more question about speed and pressure. We had a couple of those. I want to get you to weigh in on that, and then we're going to talk about pad cleaning.
For sure.
Okay.
Speed and pressure is...
Sorry, this came from E12 BMW via Instagram. So if you're watching E12, this is your question.
Great question, and this relates a lot to like how you approach certain panels as well, and certain contours or curves of panels. I've seen a couple of those questions come in also. But speed and pressure is tough because it's kind of a dance between the two. Too much pressure will slow down your orbital and in turn kind of rob your defect removal. Too little pressure may not get the defects out that you're going after. So it's tough. You have to kind of find those happy mediums for the paint condition or the paint that you're working on. But I don't know, I'm not sure how easily you guys are going to be able to see this.
I'll set you up. I'm going to mess up all your merchandising, but...
We'll just kind of show it. See on the top, we'll do it on the top edge here. You might, can't quite see the pad.
Yeah.
All right, Matt's going to move the camera down slightly here.
In the interim, I'll answer one of the other questions while we get that set up. So
there we go.
Let's see. Okay, perfect.
So this is no pressure. This is just the weight of the orbital on the panel. And with that, you're getting about five pounds of pressure, being that the orbital weighs about 5 pounds. So typical, I would say, moderate defect approach would be, adding enough pressure that you're compressing that pad a little bit, but not so much that you're flattening the pad out. And that's going to depend on the hardness of the paint and the severity of the defects you're after. Light defects, of course, you'll reduce pressure. More severe defects, you will add pressure. But you never want to be applying so much pressure that you're pancaking the pad and standing on the tool. that will create so much heat that you're going to increase the risk and potentially damage your paint. And you're also going to bog down the plate so much that you may not be getting as effective of defect removal as you want. So
why don't you show them too with some motion, because if you can really see how pressure affects the speed of rotation of the plate, and that's really what Sam is talking about. I mean, in reality, you're lugging a 5-pound machine around a car, about an hour and a half process. It's an exhausting thing. However, in the moment, this is my rule of thumb. If you are feeling strain from putting pressure, you're doing it wrong.
You're probably doing too much.
You're not letting the tool do enough. Like, the whole point of the tool is not to get tennis elbow going wax on, wax off. It's to let that tool do the work. So we'll shut up and let Sam show you.
So we're showing this with a middle of the road pad. This is our orange correcting pad. So it's a relatively dense foam, but not quite as dense as the white foam. So it's right in the middle of what we offer, and very similar to the moderate middle of the road pads that a lot of our competitors offer. So we'll start the orbital up. I'm going to get a little heat into the pad because that'll soften it up a little bit, and you'll be able to see that compression a little easier. Spread the product out. Get a little bit of heat in there. Arm speed is another variable to really keep an eye on. It gets easy when you're doing a big car. You want to, a little splatter there. You want to start to rush and move really quick over the panel. If you're doing passes like this, you're going to have to do a lot of passes. You want to work, a moderate speed like so. You don't need to work too slow either, but too fast won't get you the results you want. So we've got a little bit of heat in that pad now. We're at speed 4 on the dial, so not too fast. For light defects, I would say just floating the orbital is all you're going to need. That's really no pressure. I just have a secure grip on it to keep it flat to the paint surface. I can put my front hand there for guidance and control, but I'm not really adding any pressure. For moderate defects, I would say I'm going to put a couple pounds. So you can kind of hear that orbital kick down a little bit, and you can see that pad slightly slow down there. So just a couple pounds of pressure, enough where you're barely compressing the pad. And then for a more severe defect, I'll lean into it a little bit more, but you don't want to lean on it so much that you stall the pad or stop the pad from spinning. So right about there, I would say, is the maximum pressure I would apply at this speed. Now, if you need more pressure, you can always speed up. That gives you more rotation that'll handle a little more pressure without slowing down as much as you see there. So it really depends on the defects that you're going after. There's no one answer for how much pressure or speed you want. But the more pressure you need to apply, you're going to benefit from speeding it up a little bit so you're not slowing your plate down as much. But like Nick said, if you're straining, like you're getting to the point where you're feeling really sore after doing a panel, you're probably using a little too much pressure.
And you should throw the machine away and go back to hand waxing and not getting any good results. So yeah, it really is just, it's a dance, as Sam said, right? You've got a lot of factors. You've got your pad facing, your abrasive, the type of defect you're chasing, the type of tool you're chasing, right? With a shorter throw orbital like our G9, you might need a little bit more pressure to get the same defect that the G15 could get with minimal pressure.
Great point.
The other concept is a longer throw orbital oscillates further off center. So if you put pressure over the center of the tool, you're actually going to slow that rotation more drastically than those shorter throw machines. So really, again, my rule of thumb has also always been let the pad spin. You can put pressure on. However, if you're seeing it slow to the point where, again, you're straining in your arms and it's just slowing down, you're doing something wrong, and back off a little bit. You'll get used to it. You'll find out, what works best over time. But really, it is to be an enjoyable, less difficult process than a hand polishing process.
100%. And you reminded me of another factor that's really important is where you apply pressure on the tool. You always want to be over the backing plate when you're applying your pressure. If I put pressure on the handle, I'm going to wedge the pad, and that's going to stall the pad or virtually stop it from spinning. So you can see Let's fire that back up. When I apply pressure over the top, I maintain that pad rotation. When I do this, it virtually stops the pad. So you want to be very cautious as to how you're applying pressure. That's one of the biggest mistakes we see beginners make, is they want to use both hands to put pressure on the tool. And it's really easy. As soon as you start putting pressure with your backhand on the pistol grip, you're going to wedge that pad. Same as if you're up here and you're putting too much pressure forward. You never want to see that. Your pad should always be as flat as possible to the paint surface so you maintain rotation. Because you may think that you're not applying too much pressure, but what you're doing is wedging the pad and that's stopping it. So also be very cautious of where you're putting your pressure. I normally use my backhand as just guidance. That's kind of my rudder to steer the tool around and manipulate the speed dial and the trigger. And then my front hand is going to be the one that I apply pressure with. The only time when I'll modify that rule is if I'm like out over a roof or the center of a hood. I'm short, so I don't always have the height to get my front hand out there. So I'll get stretched with my backhand. And in that case, you're going to want to kind of push forward on the pistol grip so that you don't wedge it. And that takes a little bit of practice to get good at without getting uneven. But that's really one of those things where you start playing around with the tool and you'll really start learning those limits and kind of boundaries of speed and pressure and contours and all of that.
Yeah, sorry, my phone is actually blown up. But
No, you're good.
so let's see, a couple quick hit questions. Why does the G9 come with a 6-inch plate? Wouldn't a 5-inch plate be better for beginners? Technically, it's pretty interchangeable, but what we have found is that the 6-inch plate allows for the most surface area to be covered and slows the tool down such that a total novice can jump into that without any concern. So actually, a 5-inch plate is going to be slightly more aggressive than a 6-inch plate out of the box. However, you can adapt that G9 to a 5-inch plate immediately. There is another question. G20 or the G21, can it be used with a 5-inch plate? Yes. In fact, most professionals prefer to run a 21mm machine with a 5-inch plate for the same reason we just explained. You're going to get a smaller rotational mass, but a big long stroke. So you're actually going to get a more aggressive setup than a 6-inch plate on that same stroke.
Well, the 5-inch on really any orbital is just going to give you a little more versatility for getting into curves and contours too. On small modern cars, you have a lot of areas where even 6 inches may be a little bit big.
Yeah, however, 6-inch is really nice for waxing.
Yeah.
Aren't you right? I mean, you're just spreading butter on hot bread at that point.
The big panels too. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll definitely notice a time savings doing a large panel with that larger pad size.
And one other thing, right? We've talked about this now with pad flexing. Think about, and we're talking about energy transfer, the firmness of a pad, but the thickness of a pad also has something to do with the aggression, right? So if you're using a 6-inch plate with a 1-inch thick pad, that is going to be less aggressive than the same foam density with a thinner pad. You're going to get more energy transfer, more temperature to the paint, and get a better result faster. So there's so many variables here. That's why we can always talk about this, right?
Oh, yeah.
You guys can ask us a million questions and we still won't have answered them all. But in general, most folks will say, hey, I want a G9 with a 5-inch plate. Well, we get way more people that want a G9 with a 6-inch plate. We sell the 5-inch plate, and it really is a matter of your experience and comfort level. But I almost never run my G9 with a 5-inch plate or with a 6-inch plate just because I have that level of experience. And again, the difference in surface area of 6-inch to 5-inch I find to be negligible versus the maneuverability of the 5-inch plate.
Agreed.
And 5-inch pad.
Yeah, I mean, my personal favorite setups are normally with 5-inch plates. I think all my personal tools have those on them. But I'm also doing a lot of smaller cars and the majority of my side work. So
JGMC says, can you show us doing some curving surfaces? I think we'll have to do that some other time. But we did have Juicy Details Arizona ask, how do you deal with tight or rounded corners? And I think that's a wonderful question. We can talk about that.
It's one of the more challenging areas, and tight areas, curves, contours, rounded corners can honestly be quite frustrating, especially if you don't know how to approach them properly. You'll go over them, polish them, think you're getting defects out, wipe the product off, put a light on it, and it's all still there because you weren't able to maintain pad rotation oftentimes. So It's going to be kind of tough to do on this flat panel, but basically, like I already said, with keeping the pad as flat to the surface as possible, that's going to be your main approach when you're doing a curved or contoured area. So say you're doing like a valley, between a hood and a fender or something like that. You're going to want to come down, your high edge, keeping the pad flat. So you could, call that towing down, depending on what direction you're approaching it from.
I like heel and toe.
Heel and toe, yeah.
So it's an automotive term, right?
So you could toe down and then kind of heel up the other side, if you will. So you want to keep that pad as flat to the surface as you possibly can throughout the range of that curve or contour. Now, this is where smaller orbitals and rotary tools come in. When you have, the bottom of that valley maybe only 3 inches in diameter or 2 inches in diameter. So the very bottom of that you aren't able to really cut into. You can get the sides of that valley, but getting the center can be tough because you can't get that 5-inch plate flat in the center of that. So
we were looking at my Lincoln yesterday, and it literally has a valley that's about 1.5 inches wide that runs down 50% of the car.
Yeah, so like you could maybe get the leading edge of that.
Yeah, you could approach it
with
down
the tool,
down the C pillar.
Toe down
but
like that.
Yeah, we're making a lot of funny, like we're all over the place here. We're doing dances.
Well, and the other risk of coming into a really tight contour like that with a larger throw orbital is you're throwing that pad and backing plate in a larger diameter, so you're gonna have an increased risk of essentially banging your plate into that adjacent surface when you're attempting to come down and polish it. So that's where like the GR3 or the G8 would come in. Pull that out to get kind of that last remaining bit of a deep contour or an area like that. But really, the main tip I can give you there is keep your pad as flat to the surface as possible. And if you need to, swap to a smaller pad and plate size or grab a supplemental tool with a smaller platform.
So the other thing too, that's why we set people up with that 6-inch pad and 1-inch thick pad to start, because you do get some conformability with a thicker pad. So if you're just buzzing this the first time, I mean, really, like you'll just probably roll over all those valleys like you didn't even know they existed.
For sure.
And again, it takes some time to looking at that Lincoln, that's still a difficult task for you and I, right? I mean, we're gonna guide a 1-inch plate down that very nice black paint job. It's not easy. So there is no curve that can be approached the same, really. And so that's where, again, to address the earlier question, having a variety of tools, having a variety of pads, and some experience really plays in your favor. Now, can you get great results with no experience, really basic pads? Of course you can. I mean, again, that's why we're here. We're talking about machines because they're one of the things that just open people's eyes to the capabilities.
Yeah, what you can accomplish.
And then you've got all the different offerings, right? So,
there's tons of potential and capability there. And then another factor that will impact curves and contours is pressure too. So if you're getting into a curvy area and you're applying too much pressure, you're gonna have the combination of that contour slowing the pad and your pressure slowing the pad. So normally when I'm approaching a curve or a contour, I will reduce pressure to speed up my pad rotation to easier correct that area. Another one is high edges. So like, a lot of modern hoods, you have, kind of a corner at the edge of the hood, or you have kind of a scoop up the center that'll have a sharp corner, a sharp edge to it. That's when if you ride the top of that edge and you're applying a lot of pressure, edges are always the thinnest, tight, sharp corners and edges are always the thinnest parts of the paint, not an area where you want to be applying a lot of pressure and imparting a lot of heat. So that's another situation where you'll want to keep the pad as flat as possible approaching that high edge, and then if you're flattening out or coming down the other side, make adjustments to keep your pad flat there as well, and avoid applying excessive pressure when you're riding the top of an edge or a high corner.
One other point again, so when you're talking about the different types of orbitals, right, they oscillate off center. Our G9, 9 millimeters off center. That would not be a very long oscillation off center. G8, 8 millimeters off center with a smaller backing plate. Now, And then rotary, which actually doesn't oscillate at all. It just drives down to the surface area of the plate. When you're using a long throw and trying to target a curved panel, that plate is moving a lot farther across that curved panel, and it's really going to be an art form, right?
Yeah.
To kind of get that going.
Very good
Whereas
point.
using the G9 or G8 where it oscillates less off center, you can really kind of focus on those curves or handle them a little easier. And then again, the rotary, really in those tight, intricate spots, you get to focus in on it and work it really well.
Yeah, and that's one, we had a question earlier, like if you were to own one tool, what would it be? That's where the versatility of a smaller throw orbital excels, like the G9. If you only have the means to have one, the G9 is going to likely be the most versatile of the 4 orbitals.
Yeah. Now we did have another question, G15 versus G21, differences in use or specific applications.
That can be a hard question to answer because a lot of times it's preference. I would say, like, personally, I tend to use my G15 more than my G21. A lot of that is because of the size of cars I'm doing, and then the quality or the severity of defects in the cars that I'm doing. I don't do a ton of stuff that is really, really, really bad and needs that 21 millimeter throw to get it done quickly. However, on like big vehicles, I like pulling out the 21 and getting after those large panels.
Big trucks.
With a little more speed.
Yeah.
So I'll base it normally on the size of the car and then the severity of defects that I'm going after.
And granted, I mean, we're talking from people, we've got a closet full of tools, right? I mean, so we have a lot of preference, but that's a lot of detailers kind of have a similar thought process. Now, if you're talking about what's my personal preference, I'm an enthusiast. I want the tool. I've gotten used to the G9. Now I want some more speed in my results. Well, I almost always recommend the next step is the G15. Right? The G21, to Sam's point, really is ideal in large panels, guys that do volume, right? Yeah. So by volume, I mean a professional who wants to get these processes done quick on big panels and then cuts in with smaller tools on smaller panels or more intricate panels that may not be flat. So I almost always prefer the G15 for my personal use. But I follow your lead the exact same way. If I've got a big flat surface like the hood of the Lincoln, the sides of the Lincoln, 21 is great. But if I'm doing just like a standard, size car or SUV, I'm almost always pulling out the 15.
Yeah.
Especially if it's for pleasure as opposed to making money.
100%. I mean, yeah, the Ferrari I did a couple weeks ago, small car, lots of curves, use the 15, and the GR3 and the G8 on the majority of it. Doing the XL Denali, that's a job for the 21 for most of those surfaces. So it depends on what you're up against for sure.
Extreme details, the GR3 is not yet in stock. We mentioned that earlier. It will be in stock hopefully by the end of the month. Again, if you've been following us all year, or if, again, you're just on planet Earth, you realize all supply chains are a little strained. I mean, you got into a grocery store recently or been to Home Depot, the inventory that they've got is a little threadbare.
Yeah, exactly.
We have been feeling a little bit that here at Griot's Garage. I know, again, we've had a lot of people be very patient with us on some back order situations. So this machine development is complete. We are awaiting arrival of them. We are giving the end of the month as the in-stock date. So just keep that in mind. It is not currently for sale. If you purchase it online from us, it is going to be back ordered. We will ship it to you as soon as we have it. But we're looking towards end of September, early October for GR3s in stock.
Yeah, they're coming.
Patrick Donahue, our yo-yo applicator pads, they were discontinued. We do not have an imminent replacement. However, you can buy our contour grip holder and the pad interfaces that you prefer. This is a very inexpensive tool, very nice, comfortable grip, and put a 3-inch pad or 4-inch pad or 2-inch pad on it. Maybe not a 2-inch pad, right? I think it's a 3-inch.
Yeah, it's 3-inch
and above. So we do not have any more yo-yos for sale. We apologize for that. That was a vendor-related issue, not our choice. We will work towards a replacement in the future.
Yeah, we're
in
definitely
the interim,
trying to replace them.
That's the best solution we've got right now.
A little more versatile as well, honestly. You can swap your pads. So.
Bill B, G9 is the gateway tool. It 100% is. It is definitely.
That is a great way to say it. You have to use that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We've got some other questions. Kenny Dare, the Boss Cream safe on black trim? Do microfiber pads mar the trim? I'm going to go ahead and say no. Neither of those things are good. The Boss Creams are not safe on black trim. You might get away with it. That is not recommended.
Depends on what kind of black trim you're talking about.
Well, painted. Okay. I'm assuming he's talking about porous or non-porous or porous.
Traditional
either
black
rubber trim or hard plastic trim. Our recommendation always is to tape those areas off so that you don't introduce an abrasive into them, because they'll either suck that abrasive up, stain white, or they could be permanently affected and marred. And that's not desirable, especially if it's a customer's car.
Yeah, if you're talking like gloss black, like B-pillar trim or painted trim or something like that, you're totally good to go.
Yeah.
Yes, the microfiber pads will mar glossy black trim though.
Yeah.
Microfiber will virtually mar or put haze in any plain dark colored surface. It'll haze lighter stuff too, you just don't see it as easily.
Mar is such an aggressive word.
Mar sounds a lot worse than haze.
It's DA haze or direct or dual action haze.
Microfiber haze.
Yeah, it's a little hologramming effect. It is kind of a byproduct of being able to chase a more severe defect, very easily cured with a foam interface and a less aggressive foam.
A lot of people don't even see it, to be honest with you, but if you have an eye for paint, you will definitely pick it up.
Mike C, cheers from Tacoma. Thank you for watching from Canada. Hopefully we'll be doing a little bit more business up north there soon.
Absolutely.
So JT noticed, or guessed, sorry, correctly, the bottle that was missing. So he won that earlier, but we do still have that poster to give away. Do we want to start egging them on for?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Guys, you want one of these posters, right? I mean, this is pretty much priceless. I mean,
Camaro Time's been pretty on it with questions, but
Yeah.
I think he's won some
look
stuff
at that.
before. So.
I mean, come on. You got Cowering Stevie, the Griot's Garage event truck. Sam and I dress like we normally dress coming into the office on COVID days. We're going to autograph it. We're going to put it on foam backing and send it to you. So
you guys don't actually know it, but this is actually my wig, and that is my real hair.
yeah, and I think I just have always kind of dreamed about rocking a mullet and trying to be taken seriously. So I love that mullet wig. It's one of my favorite wigs.
Yeah. You might not believe it, but high school Sam was pretty close to that fro.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, we want to give us your best dad jokes or your funniest questions, a car debate, anything. We did have some. First and foremost, you guys know I drive a Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The last YouTube Live, we talked about our cars. We talked about new models. The 2020 Grand Wagoneer, I do not like it at all.
Yeah, me either. It's
I do
pretty
not like
huge
it at all,
disappointment.
Yeah.
Jeep wet the bed on that one.
I'm sorry, guys. They that does not do it for me, and it probably will do it for plenty of soccer moms. But gosh, man, they just wasted a great opportunity. Unfortunately, I really like Ralph Gilles. Like everything he has touched at FCA has been awesome, but that one is just go back or go drunk your home.
Hard to understand some of it, to be honest. It's like,
Yeah.
But hey, I'm not a car designer.
But we did have a question of the 2021 Bronco or 2020 Land Rover Defender from Mediocre Handle. Bronco, come on,
100%.
no question. Yeah.
I'd rather stick with a true off-roader than a minivan with a bunch of nanny gear. Sorry for any of you Land Rover fans out there.
Oh man, yeah.
Defender is far too close to the lines of a minivan, which are all too common.
Yeah, well, I got in a very heated debate with my dad and brother about minivans versus I've been just researching old Ford Excursions and the 7.3 versus the 6.0 Power Stroke diesels, and I just like them because they're massive and they got a lot of glass and they're just
utilitarian too.
And my brother is like, my dad bought a minivan for my grandpa. We were up visiting my grandpa this past weekend, and my grandpa likes that you can get in and out of it. We had my niece and nephew in the center seat, and you just slide the doors open. They're extremely practical, okay? But then you have to wake up and remember you're driving a minivan. You're driving a minivan. Come on.
Sorry for any of you minivan drivers. We respect you.
Yeah, they are very practical. They make a lot of sense. But if you ever see me driving one, stop buying my products and just go do something else, all right? Just know that I've lost
You
my
heard
mind.
it here.
If I'm driving a minivan, I've truly lost everything. But, man, Mullet, do I own a Camaro? Camaro time, I do own a Camaro, yes, a 1971 Camaro. It is one of my favorite cars. I restored it as a teenager. Bernadette is her name.
I like the idea of making the ad photo a catalog cover, Joe, but I'm not sure we'd get that by the higher ups.
No, we like to have fun, and I think that's a great representation of it. We don't take ourselves too seriously. This should be a fun hobby, fun process.
For sure. They like us, but I don't know if they like us that much.
No, my dad was like, hey, that's great. When I was your age, I was doing some pretty wacky stuff. So he's happy to see that we're enjoying our time working here and that we're trying to spread that enjoyment to you guys. But no, it's not making a catalog cover. Sorry.
Gotta have fun in your garage authentic.
Oh, man. Enough wigs to have favorites. I do have enough wigs. Oh, man.
And yes, it is very manly.
Okay, we got a couple other technical questions. Joe Edgar says the 7.3. See, that's what I've read. I've read a bunch about it. Yeah.
6-point blow.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. The only problem is you get older and older with these excursions, and they've got like 200,000 miles on them. I'm sure they can probably go for another 200,000 miles, but...
That's pretty cool.
Man.
I didn't realize that. Joel Parker, the first Caffeine and Gasoline was 10 years ago last weekend.
Wow.
That's insane.
Wow. Well, and Sam's
cool. wearing
the shirt every
Yeah.
Saturday since 2010. Obviously, we designed that shirt and COVID hit, so we really can't have any car shows right now. So that tradition has been paused, but it will resume.
That's crazy, though. It's hard to believe it's already been 10 years of CNG. But I guess I had my 10-year anniversary in June, and we started CNG like 2 months into my employment here. So that is pretty awesome.
Oh, okay. You know what? Good point, Jay. We never talked about cleaning. Cleaning pads.
Yeah, we've had that question a ton. Good.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding us of that. So cleaning pads is extremely important. Pads aren't necessarily super cheap, and you want to be able to use them again. So cleaning them is very important. A few different ways to do that. Compressed air is my favorite way, using a blowgun. The air pulse blowgun that we offer is a kind of supercharged way to blow out your pads. But you can also use a standard, pad conditioning brush if you don't have access to compressed air. So a lot of times I'll keep both with me. If I'm doing a mobile detail or something, I don't usually bring a compressor, so having that pad brush is beneficial. If I'm at home, I almost always, or have access to an airline, I almost always use the blowgun or a similar blowgun. A cheap $10 just straight blowgun from the hardware store will do a good job as well. So there's lots of options out there. But foam pads and microfiber pads, you'll clean a little bit differently. The main indicator that you need to clean a pad is what I usually call kind of crazing, or basically the pores of the pad get full and you don't see those little pores on the pad face again. Normally that'll start happening first in the center of the pad. As soon as I start seeing that, I'll blow out or brush out the pad. A good kind of general rule of thumb is at least once per panel, and I like to do it honestly after every section normally. So depends on the car. Single stage paint, you're gonna have to clean your pads a lot more frequently because they will get clogged with the paint.
If not, just
faster.
use a ton more, right?
Yeah,
Also.
probably both, honestly.
Yeah.
I usually, if I'm doing single stage, I normally use twice the pads as a standard clear coat. But cleaning them is really simple. So a couple different ways. If you're using a pad brush, you will have to use the power of the orbital. So you place your brush on the center of the pad, turn the orbital on. Doesn't need to be extremely high speed. Speed 3 to 4 is usually what I use. And you'll just run your brush in and out on that pad face. A lot of times you'll see dust flying out of the pad as you do that. That's a good sign. That means you're kicking out all that dead product that's clogging up the pores of the pad and reducing the effectiveness of your defect removal. The other method would be compressed air. Obviously, I don't have this hooked up to an airline. With compressed air, you don't need to operate the tool, so you can just leave it off, and you simply blow from the outside in, back and forth. you want that pad to spin up fast. Again, you'll see dust and liquid fly out of it. So I like to, hold them away from the car that you're doing. Don't clean your pads right over the hood of the car you're working on. Or I've even seen guys that'll have like a 5-gallon bucket of water to blow their pads into so that they're not getting dust flying around in the room. Depends on what you're working on, the environment. Normally cleaning them doesn't create too much of a mess as long as you're doing it at a direction that's away from the car you're working on. But yeah, it's really simple. Again, the more often you clean them, the longer you'll be able to run that pad on a car and the more effective of results that you'll get. The pads, as they get full of product, they'll soften up and they'll also get heavier. So that's another reason to clean them. Weight, liquid weight in the pad will translate to vibration in the tool if you exceed a certain threshold that's set for the counterbalance. So, that kind of transitions into how much product you want to use. Butter your pad face once, getting the whole pad face saturated, and then all you need for sections after that, a couple drops, around the face of the pad. So when say this pad were brand new and I was prepping it or it were clean, I'll butter it like so, do some swirls around the whole pad, and then use the bottle cap to rub that in. That way you don't have any dry spots on the pad. You'll see some guys that'll then take that and dab it around the paint. That's fine if you want to do that. I normally spin the tool up and just apply it quickly before I bear down and get to work. Not really a right or wrong way there. It's just whatever works best for you and what you prefer. Every section after that, once I exhaust this amount of product on a section, all I'm going to add, boom, 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 just 2 to 4 drops around the exterior. You can rub those in or just get back to work. But that will prevent you from over soaking your pad. And then after I've done quarter of the car, I'll normally swap this out with a fresh one. If you're using a ton of liquid, you'll add a lot of weight to that and you may experience a more severe vibration coming through the orbital. And then you have microfiber pads, which you'll clean the same way as foam. Microfiber just often requires cleaning more frequently because the fibers will mat down flat, and then you have to blow them up or brush them up with the brush. Microfiber will also tend to hold more weight because the microfiber is absorbent. So you can get up to, I think it's over 100 grams of weight into a microfiber pad pretty quickly if you're not cleaning it, and that will definitely translate to vibration regardless of what tool you're using. So that was a mouthful.
It was, but it is important. And again, I think one of the most common things you see is improper pad maintenance, over application of product during processes. They load up the pad, they get poor results, they kill the pads, they come back to us and it's like, ah!
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so that was cleaning during the process. And again, you still at some point reach a point where you change the pad.
Yep.
After your job, however, there is a process I like to follow, and it's different for some people, but my preference is to use our microfiber and foam pad cleaner and essentially fill like a utility sink or a laundry sink. Well, where am I? Okay, there I'm at. With some hot water, throw the pads in there, let them soak for a little bit, absorb a lot of water, and then wring out the pads a couple times to get all of that polish that is deep in the foam out, and you'll actually see it kind of squirt out. It's actually quite rewarding. And then I turn the faucet on, run the warm water over the face of the pad, and knead with my thumbs. Now I try and do that without soap first, outside of the microfiber foam pad cleaner, just to get out that product. Now after I have got about as much as I think I can get out with water alone, I will put a trigger sprayer on this, spray it onto the pad face, and then work it again and rinse that out. Neat. Now at the end of that, you're flushing. You can twist the pads quite a bit, but the less you can do it, the better. But you're really trying to squeeze that out, and then air dry. You can machine dry these pads. It's really not as beneficial for the long-term health of the pad to throw them in the dryer. But yeah. I don't know, is there anything to add to that? Pad cleaning sucks. It's like the worst job
It's like
ever.
hand washing dishes. It's not fun.
Yeah, it takes a while, but that's the one when I would detail, it'd just be, okay, somebody starts the laundry and folds the towels, the other person cleans the pads. I did it with my buddy Zach. So we just trade off who had to do the miserable job.
Yeah, trade off, and don't let your pile of pads build up like I always tend to do. You get a whole garbage bag full of pads that takes you 3 hours to wash.
And then you throw them out a month later,
Not
and you know, if you work for the company, you're like,
yeah, not a good idea.
Yeah.
I think the two main tips I have though are like soaking them, pre-soaking them helps a ton. Hot water, as hot as you can bear. Soak them for at least 10 to 15 minutes longer if you have it. And then don't be bashful with microfiber cleaner. That stuff is well worth the money when it comes to cleaning pads. You can even use it to pre-treat stains on clothing and stuff like that as well. So it's multi-purpose, but
Josh Nunn,
Good
man, he's
tips.
back at it again. Did you
He
know it is
is.
illegal to drive electric cars in Africa? They're only allowed to drive mad to gas cars. That's awesome.
they had a pretty good Audi one in there too. Or
let's
no, that was
see.
Bill B.
A dad joke day. Fine, go for it, Bob Dylan.
They're
Let's
all
see.
car-related dad jokes too.
Yeah,
which is
German
even
cars
better.
are so quiet they're barely audible.
It's a pretty good one.
Hey, those are pretty good. Josh Nunn, I think you've won a T-shirt from us before. Camaro time. Did Richard make you detail his cars as a child? There was no forced labor involved. I think it was more just like a, hey, if you'd like to participate, I'm going to relegate you to really hard to mess up type of job. So Wheel Boy was my start, and I remember the wheels I cleaned the most were his M parallels on his 2001 740i. BMW brake dust, but big, easy to clean wheels, so I could nail that job every time. And then I eventually started washing the car as I got taller and could do, you know, the roof and stuff a little safer. But I really enjoyed washing and detailing cars with my dad.
Yeah, I'd say if you're a smart kid, you will say yes when your dad asks you if you want to help him work on the cars. Camaro times, misbehaving again.
And Egg's favorite car is the Volkswagen.
That's a good one. I like that one. The Volkswagen.
All right, well, keep it PG, guys. Come on.
Yeah, there may be kids watching. Sheesh.
All right. Well, look, we still haven't given out the poster. I'm a little disappointed we haven't seen like the one thing. We're either gonna give it to Josh because he keeps coming with the heat every time we do this, or we're gonna give it to somebody that comes out of nowhere. So if you're sitting there lurking, come on, throw us a bone here.
Should we do one funny question and one like relevant good question?
Yeah.
on
No
actual
politics.
topic.
No politics, but yeah, we'll answer whatever you want right now. Do we have any other new products to mention? No, Stinky Be Gone and Storage Dusting Bag, two other
Yeah.
new products for fall. So those are great for fall storage, right? Storage Dusting Bag will absorb moisture in your car. Just chuck a few in there. We have some volume discount on that. That was new in our catalog. And then Stinky Be Gone, one of our oldest trademarks. That was the best copy in the catalog in the early 90s. It was my dad just essentially railing on how dirty the family Suburban was, right? Just like, I find spilled milk and French fries and all sorts of crap. And he trademarked Stinky Be Gone. And it was a pumice stone odor absorber at that time. This is a charcoal odor absorber. So
Yeah, if you have kids, buy at least one for every vehicle. They
Yeah.
are lifesavers for sure.
Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, if you weren't here before, we are going to be beginning shipping G15s next week. So if you've ordered that will begin shipping out early next week. The G21 should be shortly behind it. So we are through our backing plate issue that delayed the substantial launch. We tried to catch that as early as possible. If you are in receipt of one of our G21s, you will be getting the replacement backing plate as well. And then we just debuted our GR3 3-inch platform rotary tool. It comes with a 3-inch, a 2-inch, and a 1-inch backing plate and 2 shaft extensions. We're going to have stock of those about the end of September, so keep your eye out on that. If you haven't received our catalog, you can sign up and request a catalog at griotsgarage.com. If you like hanging out with Sam and I and Stevie every couple weeks, subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Yes.
hit the like button.
We just hit a big milestone today.
We did.
We haven't even thanked you guys for
Yeah. I can't remember, what is it?
20,000.
20,000 YouTube subscribers. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and joining us again. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it. It'll tell our marketing department that you care about us. and we'll continue to do this and give away some more stuff. So
Yeah, thank you guys, and subscribe, like, hit the notification bell.
yeah.
I think those all help us equally as well.
So Bazooka SHO, we've got to address it. He's definitely he's feeling the end of the show coming up. So
That's a great question.
Harley with single stage matte paint that is marred all over. Do you guys think I can compound and polish it to a glossier, nice finish? Now, glossier, matte paint. Are we sure you want to go that direction? Do you want to permanently change the nature of that paint?
I would send us some photos to our customer service or straight to social.
I'd say
Griot's Garage.
email us at social@griotsgarage.com. We'll be able to coach you through a process. We generally approach matte finishes, but the reality is if it's a matte finish, it still might be matte clear coat so that you're able to affect that clear coat without imparting gloss. I know we did that on a black kind of Mach 1-esque Mustang. We did put a matte clear on it. It got a little bit of water spotting. We were able to cure that. So we want to just be very careful. If you send us photos to social@griotsgarage.com, we'll do some research on the Harley paints they use and some other processes, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll be able to give you a more personalized recommendation there.
Sorry.
I think I was going to ask that one too. Can you use a non-fabric softener washer pod with microfiber cleaner? I would say yes in most scenarios. Just make sure it doesn't have a bunch of additives. A lot of those pods have, like color enhancers and scents and fragrances and additives. If you're gonna use a pod, it's best to use like one of the free and clear hypoallergenic pods that doesn't have tons of additives. A lot of fragrances and dyes and detergents contain silicone, which can rob the performance of your microfibers. So the plainer detergent, the better.
The best one I found is actually at Costco.
Yep, I
It's
was
just
gonna
a
say the
straight
same
over
thing.
tackle blue thing, and that's what I wash all my microfiber with. So yeah, just the multicolored ones, those are gonna have, like Sam said, a bunch of additives. Bob Dylan, soaking the pads makes you commit to cleaning them. It does, but you should clean your pads so you don't call us and complain that you spent $15 because he didn't clean the pads, or you messed up somebody's paint because you put a dirty pad on it. Let's see, this is a microfiber fast finish pad. It is our thicker form of the Boss pad. Features the same microfiber facing, but is kind of oriented towards a beginner in terms of using on the G9 platform. This thickness is not ideal for our long throw orbitals. However, with the new pad tuning system that we developed in the long throw orbitals, you can use these thicker pads if you prefer.
For sure, yeah, it opens that up for you. And I've been using them more than I used to when approaching delicate adjacent panels or trim surfaces. Those make it a little safer.
Yeah. John Blake, he says, I'm not a pro, but I see places on my vehicles that I could use the GR3 instead of hand waxing. No. We're going to let you know that this is not an ideal tool for waxing. Rotaries will generate a little bit more temperature. And again, just the small format of this tool, not ideal for that. If you want to wax by machine, use the G9 or G8. And I'd say the G9 is probably the only tool you need if you simply want to wax. That is going to be a shorter throw, and again, not generate excessive temperature that may either force the wax to prematurely bond, or just, again, create some other adverse condition. This is not meant for waxing.
I like Ryan Mulhern's question. He asked that earlier as well, and we didn't get to it, but best trick to keep polisher flat on side panels and doors. Can often be a troublesome area, especially for beginners. That's another simple mistake you see a lot of people make. And my best tip for that is, again, only apply pressure at the head of the tool. If you're on a vertical surface, you're going to want to push with this bottom hand, and that's going to wedge your pad and stop or slow down your pad rotation. So mark your backing plate. A lot of our backing plates have a line already on them, but if you have a plate that doesn't, get a Sharpie out and mark your backing plate with a nice 1 inch wide line, and that'll allow you to keep an eye on and see your pad rotation a little easier without kind of the illusions that the orbital tends to add. And that'll make it easier for you to practice, basically, because when you see that line slowing, take a look at how you have the pad oriented on the surface and straighten it out, and just practice running up and down and side to side flat, and you'll eventually get in the habit, it'll become second nature where you're not putting pressure with that backhand at all. So that's probably my biggest one. And then I would say like staying centered on the orbital is another one too. If you're getting way out here and way over here, it's going to be harder to keep it flat.
Okay, Joe Costanzo, can I use the pad cleaner bottle as a whiskey bottle when watching your shows? I would recommend that you don't do that, primarily because if you've got anything over like 50 proof, it's probably going to degrade the plastic a little bit. And if you're not drinking something over 50 proof, then probably shouldn't be watching our shows. But, I would say, like, you know, you're gonna probably need to find a different bottle than this, or just drink straight from the whiskey bottle if you're trying to use this as the bottle. I mean, I don't know, if you're pulling it out of mason jars and stumps in Tennessee, then maybe you need a bottle like this to deliver it more effectively. But,
At least clean it very well.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out for some cool holiday items we have that might also assist you.
Yeah,
in
if
your
you like
whiskey
drinking whiskey, we're gonna make you happy this holiday season. We'll say that much. Myth, thicker the better, pads. Again, I think there's a preference there. Generally, we recommend beginners utilize the thicker pads primarily for conformability. As we mentioned, you can kind of roll over edges and curves a little easier. They kind of moderate the energy transfer from the machine so they don't generate as much temperature. However, again, with our new long throw orbitals, we have designed them to be able to use our thicker pads. Once again, getting some conformability. And also the competitive set, there's a lot of other pads out there that are thicker than, say, our Boss pads that people recommend to be applied or utilized with long throw machines. Now, again, we took a different tack, and I think it's worked very well for us. But in general, people like to use our machines, but they may like to use one of our competitors' pads. That was kind of the concept of that pad tuning system with that bolts. With those bolts.
It just allows you don't have to swap the bolts, but it gives you a ton more versatility and minimizes your vibration if you are using thicker pads or another manufacturer's pads.
What is one of the cars you guys would not want to polish? And I don't think I'm afraid of polishing any car. I don't think there's a car on the planet.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I don't think there's a car on the planet I'm afraid of polishing.
Once you do a few SEMA cars or
$1
million cars, it goes out the window.
No, you realize, you just approach everything gently. I would say it's probably something that, I don't know, what would be like the most, you know what, like hot rods with hand louvers, you know, like 32 Fords with the folding flap louvers, and you got to get in all those. That's a chore.
So like huge single stage vehicles.
Yeah.
Like old single stage trucks and stuff. It can be really tough to get a large single stage panel perfectly even and dialed in. I don't know, man.
Okay, I think we've got a winner for our poster, and we're probably going to utilize that to sign off. Gray Wolf. There once was a man from Nantucket. To clean his car, he had a rag and bucket. He was mean. His car had no sheen till he tried foaming wash and foaming polygloss. Now when he cleans his car, he's boss. That's it. That's
sure.
it. Okay. Gray
Pretty
Wolf.
Impressive.
I don't know if you finished the rhyme all the way to the end, but I'm going to give you an A for effort. You are going to get one of these fancy dancy posters, foam backed and autographed from the Griot's Garage YouTube live team. So thank you for bringing your A game. It took you an hour and a half to show up, but you know, you may have a life doing something else too. So.
Better late than never.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think we're probably going to sign off. Again, we showed you some new products. Hopefully you found this information helpful. Thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, I think we had so much engagement. We might need to do another one of these.
I know. We love talking to you guys. Like we said, there's so many combinations. There's so many situations. You guys have so many questions about novice, beginner, or novice, advanced, enthusiast, what tool to use, what pad to use when. We could do this every other week.
It's hard to cover it all in an hour and a half. And
yeah.
I would say just get out there and experiment, play around. That's one of the nice things about our system is you have the versatility to really swap whatever pad with whatever product you want.
Yeah, and it's the biggest thing that we designed into that system is versatility, the awareness of the detailing world at large, and these products being effective regardless of how you set it all up. And for anybody that is just tuning in, we're clearing up some back orders on the G15s. The G21s should be debuting with the new and improved backing plates that we fixed very shortly by the end of this month. And then we will have inventory of our new rotary tool, which you can check out on griotsgarage.com, the GR3, by the end of September as well. So just keep an eye out there. Once again, if you enjoyed your time with us, please be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see us the next time. We're going to be back September 24th with another exciting topic. We love hanging out with you all. Thank you so much. You can follow us on Instagram at Griot's Garage and follow us on Facebook as well. Sign up for our emails and sign up for our catalog.
Yeah, don't forget to like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe.
Yeah, we had a really great time with you all. Hopefully you guys are staying happy, healthy, and safe. Have fun in your garage.
Have fun in your garage.